Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Author Story. I'm Alexander Lim, your host, and for this episode, I'm interviewing Fatima Doman, author of the book Authentic Strengths. And for those of you following along who are interested, you can go over now to the Amazon link in the description below the video and check out or get a copy of Fatima's book. So, Fatima, welcome to Author Story. It's fantastic having you with us as our guest.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Cool. So, Fatima, please tell us about yourself and the book. What's your background?
Well, I am a positive psychology coach.
Mm-hmm.
My background for over 20 years, I worked for Franklin Covey as an executive coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm certified as an executive coach through Columbia University's coaching program. So I've traveled all over the world teaching a lot of life-changing content. For example, for those 20 years I was at Franklin Covey, I taught the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and
Mm.
also uh, coached executives with that content. And now I'm working mostly in the arena of positive psychology coaching,
Mm.
using the new science of positive psychology to help people attain their goals and achieve greater fulfillment at work and in life.
Right. Okay. Okay. Cool. Got that. So, about the book, can you? It's about strength, right? So, can you just please tell us a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So the book helps people to understand the 24 strengths that were discovered by positive psychologists about 20 years ago. So
Mm.
a group of 50 elite scientists from around the world gathered and they wanted to create kind of a counterbalance to what's called the DSM,
Mm.
which is a catalog of human mental disorders and things that basically can go wrong with you psychologically.
Right.
And they felt that there was a need for a counterbalance, a focus on what's right with people. So instead of just focusing on what's wrong, they felt that we needed to balance that by focusing on what's strong in people. And what they did was they studied wisdom literature from around the world, and they found 24 strengths of character that are universal in
Mm.
all cultures. And they took those strengths and cataloged them, and we called those um, character strengths and virtues. So they created a classification. And I use those character strengths and virtues to coach my clients and help them to use their strengths, to learn to use their strengths consistently at work and in life.
Mm. Okay. All right. Okay. So these strengths then these are. I mean, usually when we come think about the word strengths, we think about physical strength, psychological strength. How do these strengths relate to happiness and fulfillment?
Well, there's a direct correlation to happiness and fulfillment. As a matter of fact, there have been over 300 research studies around the world that have shown that there are many benefits when we use our strengths.
Hmm.
For example, our energy level is increased, our engagement is increased, resilience is strengthened, where our goal attainment is improved, performance is improved. There are a lot of benefits. People report greater life satisfaction overall when they use their strengths.
Hmm. Okay, I got that. So these strengths and they apply, usually to individuals. Am I correct?
Absolutely. So these are strengths that we use either personally or professionally. So
Right.
we don't make a distinction whether we're just using certain strengths for work and other strengths for our personal lives. We look at life as one big whole,
Mm-hmm.
and really all of us use these strengths in both the work setting and in our personal relationships and personal life.
Hmm. Okay. So I'm just curious, did you do any research on the various variables that might influence a person's strengths? Stuff like, biology, culture, environment, upbringing.
That's a good question. Actually, what the scientists found is that regardless of culture and environment, that these strengths existed in every culture that they looked at.
Hmm.
And they really did. explore the planet. For example, there are over 4 million people who have taken the free strength survey online
Right?
in over 196 countries. So we know that these strengths are really universal. I don't know that a lot of research has been done on biology in terms of whether that influences the strengths that you use. But certainly a lot of research, as I mentioned earlier, over 300 studies have looked at how strengths influence us. There are studies that show a correlation to a higher well-being and even health indicators and immune
Hmm.
responses when we use our strengths. So it is all related.
All right. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so you've coached individuals and organizations. Now, I got that these are like individual strengths, but can these like also be applied to organizations, or like groups of individuals?
Absolutely. So I use this with team coaching as well because it's a really powerful piece of knowledge to understand the strengths of each person on the team and to
Hmm.
understand how we can best work together. I find that very exciting. And a lot of teams want to understand that and want to understand how to collaborate more easily. So there's this notion of strengths collisions. It's possible that sometimes one person's strengths may collide with another person's. For example, there may be someone on the team who's extremely zestful and thinks out of the box, maybe zestful and creative. And they want to try new things. They have a lot of energy to take risks. And then there might be someone on the team who's very prudent, likes to dot all the I's, cross all the T's,
Right?
and really ensure that they've done their homework before acting on any initiative. So these two different, very different strengths may sometimes collide. We call
Hmm.
those collisions. But what we're teaching in our workshops, and by the way, we offer several workshops on strengths to organizations, we're teaching teams how to plan for synergy, how to collaborate rather than to collide with one another. And the key component to that is first discovering one another's strengths, discussing those, and understanding how they benefit the whole and how we need to balance our strengths, moderate our strengths with one another's strengths.
Oh, okay. So I mean, yeah, I got that strengths can collide and definitely like personalities of people. Are there any I don't know how to put this, like strengths in one area that can kind of fill in the lack of strength in another person, something like that? Or are they all like do they all just like bang together?
No, as a matter of fact, we do have the ability to kind of fill in for one another's gaps with our strengths when we're on a team. And that's really the point of understanding all of the strengths of the people, the top strengths of the people on the team, so that we can step up when necessary on our team and take the lead with our particular strength that may be needed in the moment. And then also support the others when they're in the lead. So a team is dynamic and there's not just one person leading it. Everyone takes turns in leading with their strengths for given instances where the particular strength is needed.
Okay, I got that. Okay, I'm just curious. Can you just give us one example, sort of like a case study that shows what is possible when authentic strengths are allowed to come into play in an organization? Like a turnaround from bad to great, something like that.
Of course. So I have a story about a VP of sales, a
Hmm.
very high performing, but actually was on the verge of being fired because this VP of sales had insulted a lot of people in the organization. A lot of people felt that they had been bullied even by this person. So when I came in to coach, the first thing that I did was look at this VP's strengths because obviously they were doing a lot of things right. This person was doing a lot of things right. And I found that this person's number one strength was love. And here was a person who had damaged a lot of relationships at work. So I wanted to know more about this top strength of love. And what he told me, we'll call him Jeff. What he told me is that he really loved the company he had built and the people who were very close to him. And he was very protective of the people that he loved and the company that he loved. And it really upset him when people would make costly mistakes at work. So he started to see how maybe he was overusing that top strength. Another top strength was bravery. He was very honest and forthcoming with criticism of others when they made mistakes. So he was overusing his bravery, overusing his love of the company. And then very far down the list was social intelligence and teamwork. So he began to see that he was underusing his social intelligence and teamwork in how he talked to people, how he related to people. So what he did was he worked on raising his social intelligence and raising his teamwork. He also worked on moderating his bravery and in thinking before he spoke, so that he could communicate more effectively with people without offending. And he told everyone exactly what he was working on, and that his goal was truly to improve relationships with the people at work. And at first, people didn't really believe it. It took several months, but he consistently would check in with people and say things like, "Am I doing better in my communication style? Is my teamwork improving? Do you see me making efforts to be more of a team player and to communicate more effectively with others?" So he sincerely wanted to work on these work relationships and make them better. And people over time came to believe that. And they scored him much higher in the end. So in the beginning, on a scale of 1 to 100, they scored him often in 30s and 40s. And in the end, he was scoring consistently in the 70 to 80 percentile in an assessment that was taken at work related to his work relationships. So significant improvement over time. Didn't change overnight. People had to be convinced that it was sincere. But when they started to see that he was sincere, they were able to move on and to allow him to create a new relationship with each of them at work.
Wow, okay. And how's this organization doing now? I mean, is it has he been able to carry on the success? Did they I don't know, did they fall back to their old ways? What happened?
Well, in the end, and I haven't checked in recently, but towards the end of my interaction with this individual, he had been offered equity in the company. So he had gone from having his job on the line and being at risk of being fired to being offered equity in the company. So it was a pretty dramatic turnaround.
Wow, nice, cool. Okay, so yeah, great. So it means the company definitely trusted him. That's definitely a big turnaround right there. Okay, so Fatima, yeah, your website lists 24 strengths, if I'm not mistaken, and I think from what you told me earlier, these 24 strengths were based on the research of various people. Is this correct?
That's right, and especially Dr. Martin Seligman. He was really the spearhead of this movement to catalog these strengths of character.
Right, okay. Now I noticed like each particular strength is under, I don't know, a subheader, like say like judgment falls under wisdom, honesty falls under courage. How did you create this particular structure for the strengths?
Well, these scientists, this group of 50 elite scientists, felt that they needed a structure, so they created what they called virtue categories. There
Mm.
are 6 virtue categories, and within each of those categories are listed the 24 character strengths. Those strengths from the list of 24 that would fall under that category. So, for example, of the 24 strengths, we have strengths like creativity, leadership, honesty, fairness, judgment, perseverance, perspective, self regulation, humility, gratitude, love of learning. There are a lot of strengths of character that human beings possess. And 24 have been cataloged that these scientists believe really encompass all of the full spectrum of human character strengths. You might call zest energy as well. It may have different names, but this idea of having a lot of energy and excitement for life. So that's how they were cataloged.
Okay, okay, cool. And I get that, since these are about strengths, I just want to confirm this. Since these are all strengths, one strength is not necessarily better than the others, correct? I mean, it's more like the interplay between these 24 various strengths that affect how people relate to each other.
That's right. So even though, let's say you take the strength survey online, and by the way, you can take it for free on my website at authenticstrengths.com,
Mm-hmm.
and you go to the landing page and you scroll down until you see the button that says take the free strength survey, and it'll give you a list of your 24 strengths immediately after you take the free scientific survey. When you look at that list, your top 5 or so strengths, those top strengths we call signature strengths.
Hmm.
Those are the strengths that really energize you and kind of give life its savor for you. And as you go down the list, you'll come to your lowest strengths. Let's say, 20 and below. It doesn't mean that those strengths are any less important than the other strengths. It just means that you're not good at using those strengths. For example, I've had the question, well, honesty was really low for me. Does that mean I'm a dishonest person?
All right.
No, not necessarily. It just means that you don't get as much energy from using that strength as you might perhaps if creativity was your top strength. So what we're measuring is which strengths you enjoy using the most, which strengths really enliven you and energize you the most. And one strength is not more important than another. All 24 strengths are equally important in life. So what this measures, it does not in any way measure weaknesses. It simply measures strengths of character and which ones you enjoy using the most that give you the most energy and fulfillment.
All right, cool. So maybe our listeners can take note of that then. Go to your website, authenticstrengths.com. Do the questionnaire, right? They do a questionnaire.
That's right. Click on the button that says take the free strength survey,
Okay.
and you need to scroll down the landing page until you see the orange bar and the button.
All right, cool. So there's a little something there for our listeners to try out. So Fatima, let's say you meet up with someone who's really dead set on achieving optimal performance, either for himself or for his organization. And this person may or may not be doing badly, but certainly not excelling. Now, you had only enough time to tell him or her one thing, the most important thing about strength, the power that lies within them. What would be that one thing that you would tell that person and why?
I would probably encourage them to do the 1 week challenge, because we have found there has been significant research, multiple studies that show if you'll even just for 1 week take one or two of your top strengths and find a new way to use that one or two strengths each day for a week, that you will experience a significant mood boost and energy boost that research has shown lasts on average about 6 months from just 1 week investment in finding new ways to use one or two strengths. So to me, that's very significant, to see results like that. So I would encourage this person to consciously find ways to use one or two of their very top strengths that really energize them at work, in life, in whatever goal that they're trying to attain. and see if that doesn't really give them a big boost in not only engagement and energy, but also in goal attainment and performance.
Wow, nice, cool. Okay, got that. So, Fatima, in the last couple of minutes or so of this interview, are there like any last words of wisdom you'd like to share that might inspire our listeners?
Well, I think really this concept of focusing on what's strong rather than what's wrong is a big shift in thinking. In past years, I have worked, over those past 25 years, in what we call gap analysis and looking at, the deficiency and how to fill in that deficiency. This is a very different approach that we've embarked on in the last, I've been working with positive psychology coaching for about 8 years now, and I'm seeing much better results using positive psychology coaching, focusing on people's strengths instead of in filling the gaps or addressing their weaknesses. It's a tremendous shift in perspective that brings much better results. I can't emphasize that enough. So people are much more motivated when we talk to them about this idea of bringing more of what they do well instead of correcting something that they're not doing well. They're more motivated to rise to the occasion and to perform better. And there's a whole field of study called appreciative inquiry that really teaches that if we focus on what we like, what we want more of, that will grow. And where we choose to place our attention is very significant. So why not place our attention on creating what we want instead of fixing what we don't want? It's a big shift in thinking, but I think if you read the research, if you read my book, AuthenticStrengths.com, and you read the research around this shift in focus, you'll see that this is truly a science for the 21st century. This is truly a break in perspective that empowers people to achieve so much more and to live more fulfilling lives.
Wow, fantastic. So, yeah, that's definitely I don't know, a paradigm shift, I suppose, in the way we'd work things.
Absolutely. It's an exciting paradigm shift, and it's really the wave of the future. And as I said, there have been so many research studies that show that it really works. And I'm seeing it with my clients that I coach. I'm seeing tremendous growth in them and goal attainment, and it's very exciting.
Right. Cool. Fantastic. So, great, great. So, thanks for that, and thanks for that insight. So, in closing, then, the book is Authentic Strengths. The author is our guest for today, Fatima Doman, and her website is AuthenticStrengths.com. So, Fatima, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for being an author story. It's a privilege to have you with us as our guest.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Cool. Of course, for those of you listening, if you want to own Fatima's book, Authentic Strengths, you can get it right now by going to the Amazon link in the description below the video. And if you'd like to follow our author interviews on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. So, bye for now, but I'll be back next time on Author Story with another inspiring author.